So Nick Fletcher, Tory MP for Yorkshire, says we need a men's minister. Well, he's right about one thing. There are certainly men's issues that perhaps have been neglected over the years. Things such as male cancer checks that have been really, really underplayed. He's also right in many ways to point to a problem that we're not quite sure what men ought to be anymore. We're worried about saying anything, about appearing to be overbearing, worried in an office whether we might be bullying. There are lots of men's issues, and in many ways, you know, it's been the rise of certain figures on social media, you know, who actually, some may say, represent extreme views. But Belinda Brown joins me, men's rights activist. Let's just start there. The Andrew Tate phenomenon. And I mean phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean, you will not find a teenage boy that does not know of Andrew Tate, that hasn't looked at some of his online content. And actually, do you know what? Some of it's quite sensible. It says, look after yourself, be fit, be ambitious, try and get on in the world. But when it comes to how you interact with women, some of it, I think, is pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
When Nick Fletcher says there should be a minister for men, and you, Belinda, as an activist in this area, I think you believe this is the right thing to do as well. What kind of image, what kind of masculine male image are we looking to fight for?
I think that what Andrew Tate did, he's in a sense milked this area. You know, men have been really put down. There's been this awful phrase, toxic masculinity, and he's kind of ridden this wave, which is really unfortunate. And I think the thing is that he's touching on. Let me just talk about something. It's a tiny truth. I'm a researcher, and one of the things that my husband and I, we did a lot of research into men and employment and all the rest of it. And one of the things that we found was that when men were in a relationship, so firstly when men were in a relationship, then when men got married, then when they had children, with each step their income went up, their employment went up, particularly amongst the, let's say the less educated. It was really that a place in the family was a really important motivating factor for men, particularly if you don't have a really grand, interesting job. And this family role has been completely taken away from them. And I think that's left a big vacuum that we really need to look at. And the thing is, there's a real irony, because what you actually find, and there's so much research on this, so what you find is that in those areas, there was a massive study done by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, great place, massive study, and it showed that where male employment increases, rates of marriage increase, rates of single parenthood go down, and it's good for everybody. I want to be clear, I am absolutely in favour of women working. I don't think...
what would, Belinda, what would feminist groups say about a minister for men? They'd say, hang on, men have had it all their own way for 2 million years.
You know,
it's what they'd say.
Do you know, one of the things I was really pleased about when I was listening to the radio this morning was actually, I think people are starting to realise that there are real issues for men. Yes, you're always having people making those arguments, but we've got sons, lovers, husbands, fathers, and we know that there are issues. I don't think people realise the extent to which there are issues, but I think the vast majority of people appreciate, you know, we see our sons suffering at school. You know, the situation with boys in education from the age of 5 right through to the end of university.
They're being told they're bad people.
Absolutely, they're doing much worse. So I don't think that there's going to be a big argument against this. I think that there's going to be support for it.
Do we think that establishing a minister for men, another subset of a huge Whitehall department, the bureaucracy that goes with it, do we think it'll really make any difference?
I think it will make a difference.
Your trust in government is charming in many ways.
I have no trust in government. I have no trust in government. What I trust in is people they're sort of a bit led by the nose. If they see the government as saying this is important, they'll start believing it. You know, when the government said, you know, women are important, they believe that. It will actually enable people to take this issue really seriously if there is a minister for men. I think it is an important thing, and I think it could really achieve massive things. And I just think it's so important that it isn't seen as a divisive issue, that we do work together. And you know,
Okay. Very interesting. I was in America 2 weeks ago for the first Republican debate. I know Trump wasn't there, but the other contenders were. And the new kid on the block, Vivek Ramaswamy, when they talked about social issues and difficulties in American cities, he said there's one big problem. It's fatherlessness.
Absolutely.
It's a lack of male role models. And what's been very interesting is that debate is now very live in America. But it's almost as if, Belinda, in this country, no one dares say that actually a kid's life chances are better off with two parents. We almost dare not say it anymore.
It's such a shame. There is so much data to back it up. And I'm talking as a single mother. You know, I am a single parent, but I still recognise the importance of having a father in the family. The father is like the linchpin to the survival of the family, and we need to get fathers back into families. And a key role in that is actually ensuring that boys are educated and men are employed. That is a really key issue, which, you know, of course I want that for women as well, but women have got that. I feel confident about women. That will bring fathers back into their families. It's a key, I think it's really important. And I think that's what underlies so many of the problems that boys are having in education, is fatherlessness. Actually, I don't know if there's time for me to talk about a little research.
You've got a max 30 seconds.
We did a little research project where we looked at boys who had a more traditional point of view about the role of men in the family, and we assessed that level. And what we found was that boys who understood that there was a place for men to support families, provide a role, that they were actually doing better at school because they had this vision of a role for themselves.
Interesting.
And I think that's really important.
Interesting. Belinda Brown said with great passion, and thank you very much. Well, somebody who knows a lot about being